Morning again, Chair, board members, Madam CEO, staff, and members of the public. I'll just remind everyone to please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices for the entire meeting. If you are presenting, please speak directly and loudly into the microphone. Also ensure that the light on the microphone is green when speaking. This also applies to anyone, any board member who's speaking. Lastly, I'm noting for the record that board members Miller and Wright are absent. Thank you so much for your cooperation. First on the agenda is presentations by Chief Secreto. Can you come up to the podium, please, Chief? Chief Secreto will be making some introductory comments, followed by a brief video which will be shown, and then he will present two distinguished police officers from PSA 2. Chief?
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Rubin, Vice Chair Gonzalez, CEO Bob Hyatt. Thank you for allowing me to do this on behalf of NYCHA. We are honoring Officers Rallo and Calwa for an incident that happened on, it actually was Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2 months ago. They were on patrol. They were in the vicinity of Langston Hughes' houses, 315 Sutter Avenue, when they heard screams for help, smoke billowing from the 4th floor windows. They sprinted into the building. Now, you know, in the sign of the times, this is all captured on body camera. In the past, you know, you would have had to take my word for it, but you don't have to take my word for it now, because it was all captured on their body cams, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. You'll see them as they get up to the 4th floor, it's thick smoke. They help evacuate the residents, clear the apartments of pets and humans. And at one point, there's a woman struggling on the staircase, ready to collapse. I believe it's Officer Rallo grabs the toddler that's in her arms, takes the toddler downstairs to safety, comes back. Now there's a man with 2 kids with him. He collapses. They grab the kids. You'll see them putting the kids in the police car, covering them with blankets. So when I saw this, I was so moved. And as you guys know, I spent 4 years in the police department. So I was very moved by what I saw, and I was inspired to do something for them on behalf of NYCHA. This is a NYCHA facility. So if we could just show the video, it's about a minute, but very powerful.
Walk towards me. Come on. Come on. Walk towards me to the right. Let's go. Take your time. Hey. Everybody watch your face. Here, give me one. Give me one. I got you. Stay here, it's warm, okay? Stay here. I know. You okay? You just cold? Alright, come on, stay warm. Alright, stay warm. Keep smelling.
I was going to tell everybody to clap for you, but that's very powerful, and I get emotional every time I see it. So with that, I'm going to call you guys up.
Could I ask a couple questions?
This would not be a board meeting if you didn't ask.
No, I
some questions.
I'd like to ask you about item number 6. That's an inside joke. What was the incident? What actually had happened? It was just fire, but what was do we know what happened?
From what we got from the fire inspector, something caught fire on the stovetop.
Something appeared to have caught fire on the stovetop, and I guess there was a pile of laundry next to it, which also then went up in flames, and that's what caused the whole apartment to go up.
Yeah, this was in the morning, by the way, 10 minutes.
Yeah, you could see it was, yeah, it was right at, yeah.
I did 40 years. I never had this opportunity to, impact people's lives. Say, you guys save lives. Your actions, save lives.
And you were on patrol around there and you just happened to be there?
Yeah, so normally we work a 4x shift.
Right.
We were actually on that day to take care of stuff in our development, which is Van Dyke, Woodson. They asked us to look after those 3 buildings in Langston Hughes because they were having a HUD inspection. So they asked us to do an interior in all those buildings. And actually the first building that we went into was 305, and someone had a seizure in the lobby as we walked in. So we actually we took care of that first. Then the second one we pulled up in front of, he pulled the car right in front of the building, and as soon as we got out of the car, some people were yelling out of the windows. So it was kind of just right place, right time. Thank God. So.
Wow. Do you happen to know? I mean, had the fire sensors or anything gone off, or not so much?
Yeah, the fire sensors were basically beeping on the whole floor.
Okay.
It was just engulfed in smoke.
Yeah.
You could hear them in the video. You could hear them. Yeah.
And did the fire department show up at some point?
Yeah, they showed up
That's
at
good.
roughly 6 minutes.
Yeah,
6
it
minutes
was
later.
6 minutes.
And you guys were there flexing. Great.
No, incredible.
Yeah.
That is.
So I know that Chief is going to hand out these nifty, really special awards, but on behalf of NYCHA, I just want to thank you so much. I know that your job is not easy. Our developments can be a real challenge. But what you did, I mean, honestly, made me choke up just as a human and also a mother. So thank you so much. I don't think words can express how incredibly grateful we are for not only what you did in February, but what you do at NYCHA, you and your colleagues, every day. We really, really appreciate the partnership, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
So it says a Hero Award. It has the NYCHA logo and the NYPD logo. And presented to Police Officer Mark Calwa in recognition. Got that? In recognition of your courageous and life-saving actions at the scene of a fire at Langston Hughes Houses on February 14th, 2024. This is to Mark. This says the same thing, but it's to Vincenzo Rao.
Would the board members like to take a picture with the officers?
We're gonna take a picture, yeah, come on.
How would you like this?
So much for that. Oh, yeah.
You guys are over there, okay?
So much for that.
Just have everybody kind of around him. Just Jamie,
Yeah, when I get over here.
yeah,
Where do I go? Right here.
maybe Lisa in the front. Lisa's gonna. Okay, guys, big smile. Thank you.
You got it, Wow?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
All right.
That was wonderful. Thanks again, officers. Chair, there are no members of the public wishing to provide comments. As such, we will proceed with the regular calendar for today. The first order of business is a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 27th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Seconded by.
Second.
Thank you, Member McCoy. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you so much. Chair, I will invite you to make remarks.
I don't have any remarks to make this morning, and anything I say would be, would pale in comparison to what we already did, so thank you very much.
Thank you, understood. Madam CEO, I also invite you to make remarks.
Thank you so much. Good morning. And of course, what I'm going to say now pales in comparison to what we just witnessed. So I just wanted to give an update on where we are with ERAP and rental arrears. As of March 31st, 2024, our tenant arrears have gone down and now total $448 million. We're in the final stages of distributing ERAP payments to our residents in partnership with OTDA. NYCHA has submitted payment requests on behalf of 28,186 households, totaling $150 million. Payments received from OTDA total $519,144. And ERAP funds have already been distributed to 24,393 resident accounts, totaling a little over $144 million. I'd also like to give an update on the trust. I'm excited to share that on April 19th, MK Elections, the third-party election administrator, certified the resident vote at Bronx River Senior Edition after 100 days of voter engagement, including 520 individual conversations with residents and 30 days of voting. A historic 69% of eligible voters at Bronx River Edition voted in favor of the Public Housing Preservation Trust. In addition, this vote showcased the engagement of our residents, with 61% of eligible voters turning out to vote. At our next two voting sites, which are Coney Island and Coney Island 1 Site 1B, which is also referred to as Unity Towers, the 100 days of voter engagement is underway. Both developments are following the same timeline, but the voting results will be separate. There are approximately 800 eligible voters at Coney Island and 330 eligible voters at Unity Towers. Voting at these two sites will begin on July 17th and will end on August 15th.
Could I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
I'm really sorry. I don't know why I need to ask this question, and maybe we can ask it later.
Okay.
I would be interested to know at some point, maybe you can just have somebody send me when there was a month, the voting's open for a month, basically?
Yes.
Okay. It would be interesting to know when people vote in that period.
We can absolutely figure
Sure,
that out.
somebody-
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So there's in-person voting, there's voting by mail, and there's voting online. So
Okay.
we can certainly
Yeah, I'd be sort of
break
curious
that
to see
down.
when that, is it even or is it
Sure.
sort of like a, yeah, okay, thanks. But that's great.
I would also like to call Sean Mavani up to the podium. If you recall, at a previous board meeting, there were some questions about the mayoral roofing program, and Sean is here with his colleague, Oliver Osterwind, maybe just for support, or to give that follow-up.
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. And yes, this is a follow-up to two questions we received in, I think, the January board. Oliver oversees the roofing team, and so can get into more detail. So I'll answer the first question, which the board chair had asked, and Oliver will address the second question, which board member Wright had asked in January. And so on the back of that presentation, the board chair had asked if we can quantify the kind of concept of what we call like building science of replacing the roofing before we upgrade other assets in the building. That conceptually I think makes sense, but we'd want to understand what's the actual kind of financials and how that pencils out. So we did do a quick analysis that's on screen that basically demonstrates a typical roof replacement in our context in recent years is about $2 million or $2.1 million for a kind of average building, assuming a certain a square footage area like 10 apartments, per floor. What does that give us in terms of both capital savings and operations or O&M type of savings over time? And so we did some quick modeling, which is in the middle of the page. We looked at a number of different physical assets in the building are impacted if the roof has deteriorated and there's leaking, right? So as you would imagine, top floor apartments are impacted. Typically the second or third floors down are also impacted by the leaks. But the elevators would be impacted, the facades, the brickwork around, the risers that go and share the roof drains. So we identified kind of 4 of those asset types as the kind of primary areas that are impacted, and also as a kind of conservative view, because there would be greater impacts than this. And we quantified what do we think the impact of not replacing that roof would be if those assets had been replaced themselves, right? So if you did it out of sequence, basically. And so there's a kind of low and a high scenario modeled here in the blue bars, and you can see that the range is between 0.9 and 3.2 million, right? And so basically the roof investment is in many cases paying for itself simply by preserving other assets that are then replaced, or by preventing further deterioration of those assets over time. This is again a bit conservative because there will be additional asset types that we haven't modeled, and there will be some savings. The other side of the picture is on the work order side, and so the last graph just shows, based on actual data, 5 sites replaced roofs 2 years ago. How have work orders come down? These are specifically work orders related to top floor leaks from above kind of work order code. And so you can see there's a 75% decrease in work orders in the first couple bars. That translates to about a 60% decrease in average days spent on work orders per year. And then obviously there's the financial cost associated with it, which we haven't shown here. That's an additional savings of undertaking the roof replacement.
So just so I understand, so in the primary, the capital savings, that's just one-time capital savings?
Yes, so it depends on the useful life of those assets, right? So roof useful life and elevator useful life, for example, is about the same. And so doing the roof and then doing the elevators gives you that one-time savings, right? But other assets here that might have a more frequent or replacement need with a lower useful life, then that roof is protecting them multiple times over. So, it's a simple analysis. It doesn't include that component in the sense of if there's more than one time. It doesn't include things like time value of money, which would have increased the gains as well here. But the idea is to give kind of a quick view that's conservative in the assessment to justify our kind of investment approach.
Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to prolong this, but just, spending $2 million to save $3.5 million obviously would, if that's all same time, current dollars, that obviously is something you would do. And it makes sense to me that that's probably right. And how much have we spent on roofs sort of a year, or how should we think about how much we're spending on roofs?
So our program over the last 5 or 6 years is about $2 billion in terms of total budget. Expenditure in the last 5 years is about $1 billion. We've got about 900 million left, so we're spending a couple hundred million a year. Roofs is our third largest program after heating and Sandy today, and then right before Comp Mod. And so it's where we're making a lot of these foundational investments. And it both helps on our own assets, but it also helps if a site converts the pact or the trust, in that's one less thing that partner has to do, which would be part of their upfront investment.
I can't fully read the right-hand side, but the right-hand side, it strikes me, sort of underestimates the impact, because what it also does is it allows you to redirect your staff to other. So you're getting sort of a double efficiency, because you're saving stuff that you wouldn't have done, but presumably if you reduce your staff time on solving whatever those problems are that I can't see, you can redirect them to boilers or whatever else.
That's right. I mean, it's not a huge amount. You can see it's a savings of a man day a year or a person day a year from this replacement, right? On the right-hand side where it goes from 1.5 to 0.6 per roof asset. So if you had 20 buildings on your property, then it is 20 man days a year. But yeah, our overall approach was that we don't want to overstate the benefits of the roof investment, so we kind of built in some conservatism around some of those additional positive impacts that you would get. Yeah. So the second question from board member Wright was, could we expedite the mayoral roofing program? So I'm going to let Oliver take us through that.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so you can break down a capital project in two major phases. The pre-construction, everything that happens until you mobilize another construction phase. Once you're in construction, you have a certain set of variables that you can impact, and the main ones are the regulatory approvals and the sign-offs. Those are through DOB and FDNY. We see that we could potentially save 1 to 3 months per capital project if we increase the collaboration with them. We have ongoing efforts to work with those agencies on getting our workflows expedited and streamlined. The other portion is everything that happens before construction, which is pre-construction, the planning, design, and the procurement. We see that for those projects, we could potentially save 6 to 12 months, so 9 months on average, for the program, and pull up the program end from the first quarter of 28 maybe to the middle of 27. One aspect is staffing, as always. The more people you have to lift, the easier a project gets. There are many variables that need to be managed during construction, so stakeholder outreach, working with the designers, working with the vendors. So adding staff to the program could help on that end. And the other thing is, regulatory approvals, DOB, FDNY. During procurement, the board approval process, ratifications could help us. And, in both ends, the OMB approval process, which adds about 6 to 8 months to a project just for the construction procurement. But we're also procuring the design services through OMB, so that's another 8 months. So getting those processes expedited could really help us expedite. And then there's other areas like design timelines. We could put stricter timelines on our architects. Obviously, that would add cost to the design. You have to put more people on it. And it'll increase the source of maybe design errors up front that you have to make up for during construction. And then, the other question that we haven't really fully explored yet is the construction vendor capacity. Even if you get so many projects out into construction, are there enough vendors to do the work? And then we're looking at cold weather safe work practices that could help us work through the winter and not just in the summer.
So there are how many roofs, knowing what you know today about the roof conditions, how many roofs do we need to do?
How many do we need to do? So we have about
126 underway.
126 in pre-construction and 159 in construction in this program.
Let me help a little bit if that's okay. The overall mayoral roofing is 700 roofs, if you remember. In addition to that, we've done, I think, something like 400. We actually have the data, we were just looking at it over the last few years, so we've done a good chunk. We have another set of about 40 roofs that are already in our capital plan to do in the next couple of years. So when you put all that together, that's like 1,100, 1,200, right? So when you're saying how many more roofs beyond that do we want to do? Yeah, we can come back to you with an answer, but that involves modeling out, roof conditions, pack conversions, and a range of other things.
That's okay. I'm just trying to get just broadly, and I'll let you go. Broadly speaking, if you said you had, I don't know, something like 400, maybe there's 400 more roofs that you sort of need to do that you know of and are sort of under construction or could be expedited, and then there's in the pipeline, let's call it. And the average is $2 million a roof, is that what you said? Okay, so $800 million, something like that.
Yeah.
And that $800 million on the not conservative side saves us about $1.2 billion, something like that, of total, not to mention the cost of just you have to do the roof. So and I bet you anything that when the folks who do our P&As do the P&A, they don't think of it that way. They just think roofs, and then they think risers, and then they think leaks, and then they think whatever, assuming that it gets done in, as a seriatim. So, correct. So, I would guess that means what I think is probably right, which is that because you guys are doing this in an intelligent way, and you want to now expedite it, the P&A, I'm not suggesting the P&A is massively overstated, but $1 billion of the P&A or $800 million of the P&A that's for elevators really ought to be $1.2 billion or something, 3. That's for elevators plus the other stuff. So when you're done, the P&A is going to go down more than the roof amount.
So the P&A, it's a good point and good question. The P&A is, as you said, scoped as a limited exercise. It's not doing scenario modeling around how you sequence investments or what your capital plan looks like, or the timing. To some degree, it's assuming these are all the investments you need to make today. Let's just assume you make them all at the same time and get them done, in a point estimate. But it is built in a way that it's not clear to me, maybe that logic that, your elevator estimates would go down. The elevator estimates are just purely for the elevators, right? Separately, the roof estimates are just for the roofs. The additional benefit we get, rather than bringing the P&A number down, is probably potentially if we don't do the elevator estimates immediately after the roof estimates, right? The P&A would actually go up in a sense, right? Because the roof will then deteriorate by the time you replace your elevators, and you won't get as much protection benefit to it. So we can look at the dynamics of that.
I'm gonna take the glass half full position, and the reason I think it's interesting, besides the fact that it shows that you guys are doing work that is efficient and smart, is that and the money pays off, is to make the point that NYCHA, we need more money. You're always gonna need more money, more capital money, more everything money. For these reasons, the sooner you get it, the better the more sense it makes, because it pays for itself faster like this. But I also think it makes another point, which is that I worry that when the P&A numbers are public, they are public, it gives the impression that, oh, it's so large, you simply can't really do anything about this. And that's not true. We need a lot more money, but NYCHA's team can make real inroads just by working the way they work. This is a totally attackable problem. It's not throw up your hands. So you guys are doing great work.
No, I appreciate that, and that's why our teams are motivated day to day, exactly for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Oliver?
Something for the CEO.
I'm sorry?
I have a question for the CEO.
Okay, for Sean and Oliver?
Huh?
You have a question?
No, for the CEO.
Okay.
You speak of updates, and I was wondering if you could give us an update, if not today, maybe at the next board meeting, on how we're doing on that massive undertaking at Fulton.
So happy to do that, and I don't know if we have Jillian in the audience from our real estate team, but right now we're in the process of finalizing the environmental impact statement. So that's a very long process, but maybe what we can do is have somebody from real estate come, probably not next month, but once that process is over the hurdle, to give a bit more information.
It is a massive undertaking.
It is a huge
I
undertaking.
understand, and just trying to stay on top of it.
I appreciate that.
First time,
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa, I apologize. Can you repeat the question because it wasn't?
Sure. So Vice Chair Gonzalez asked about updates on the Fulton Elliott Chelsea project.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll now proceed to the calendar items 1 through 21. Item 1, David.
Good morning, board members. It's nice to see everybody. I have item 1 on the calendar today, which is a contract capacity increase in the amount of $250,000 to continue services with the law firm Venable LLP for the delivery of legal services over the remainder of its contract life, which is a little over 4 years. Questions?
No questions. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Item 2, Keith.
Morning. Morning. Preemptively putting the mic close to my face, sorry. Here I present item number 2, which is a contract, contract amendment to TR Pipe Inc., which is a contract capacity increase of $1 million and an extension of 1 year. There have been 2 prior increases for a total amount of $3.5 million, and this is required in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the contract term. Section 3, sorry, I'm filling in, so I didn't,
He's the understudy.
I'm the understudy now, I graduated to the understudy.
Sorry.
2 years as the understudy, and finally the understudy. Any questions? The VNC is not required as just an extension. Any questions on that? I'm sure I missed something, but.
Okay, I just want to say that the contract is for replacement
Two
of,
section 3 hires.
replacement of vacuum pump units.
Thank you.
And it's a ratification of an amendment that was changed recently. It's a ratification for both the amendment and the contract capacity increase. Because it's a 2018 contract, it's still new hires, so the section 3 are 2 new hires. Any
Yes,
questions,
thank you.
board members?
No, although the person who was originally gonna do this, they were gonna sing it, so we need you to sing.
Oh, no. Yeah, he couldn't sing today, he had a throat issue.
Oh, throat issue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keith. Items 3 and 8, Cal. 3 and 8, right?
Morning, Cal Bruno, Vice President of Technical Services. I'll be presenting items 3 and 8 for your consideration. Item 3 is requesting authorization to approve a contract increase to an IDIQ contract awarded to Popular Services Incorporated for maintenance, painting of apartments and interior and exterior public spaces at development citywide. This increase is needed in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 2-year term and the 1-year renewal term, which commenced on November 9th, 2022, and is continuing through November 8th, 2025. This contract capacity increase will allow us to continue to perform common area painting, emergency fire jobs, and the painting of occupied and vacant units. The capacity increase being requested is $2,500,000. This will increase the not to exceed to $7,500,000. The Section 3 hiring plan total estimated labor hours is 2,500, and the Section 3 total projected labor hours is 625. Any questions? Item 8. Item 8 is requesting authorization to amend Board Resolution 22-5/25-16, which authorized the approval of a contract capacity increase to a work authorization issued to United Facility for complete facility maintenance and management services. The amendment will correct the term from 9 months to 1 year, 8 months, and 16 days, which ran from March 16th, 2022 through December 1st, 2023. It will also correct the original contract amount from $977,020.52 to $505,194.31. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, provided various skilled trade personnel to perform tasks associated with preparing vacant apartments for future rentals. These tasks may consist of installing new doors, hardware, cabinetry, painting walls, as well as other maintenance tasks on an as-need basis. In addition, authorization is requested to ratify a contract capacity increase to fund vacant unit preparation under the Vacancy Readiness Program. Approval to issue this contract capacity increase prior to board approval was received by the Supply and Management Procurement Department from the Chief Procurement Officer on April 21st, 2023. This contract capacity increase will also allow vacant unit preparation at 10 developments to support resident relocation related to major modernizations slated to take place at St. Nicholas and Toad Hill houses. The contract capacity increase being requested is $36,139,107.98, which will make the new not to exceed amount $47,389,261. This increase will support vacant unit preparation under the Vacancy Readiness Program, which focused on 700 units during the time frame of August 2023 through December 2023. It will also support vacant unit preparation of 485 relocation units needed for the comprehensive modernization at St. Nick and Todt Hill houses during the time frame of January 2024 through June 2024. Also being requested is the extension of the expiration date from December 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. This Section 3 hiring plan, total estimated labor hours is 60,000, and the Section 3 projected labor hours is 15,000. Any questions? Thank you.
Cal, I'm gonna have to look at this item again because what I'm looking at is not requesting an extension. So we'll have to revisit item 8 again. Okay, thank you. Items 4 through 7. 4 through 7.
Your mic is on.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Cal, did you hear me?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay, I said we'll have to revisit 8. Did you hear that? Okay, all right. And items 4 through 7, Caesar, thank you.
Oh, great, now we do the whole board meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Good morning, board members. My name is Cesar Gonzalez. I'm the Vice President of Public Housing Operations for Queens and Staten Island. I will be representing Public Housing Operations Division today, and we'll be presenting 4 items for your consideration. Items 4 through 7 is the same contract. 6, authorization to award these 4 requirement contracts to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, CLC Communications, Inc. This will be a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. These requirement contracts provides for service and repair of intercom systems. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, furnishing all labor, materials, and incidentals. For the developments in the Bronx, the contract amount is not to exceed $2,696,012.34. The vendor has indicated the Section 3 total labor hours is 4,473. 2, for the developments in Brooklyn, the contract amount is not to exceed $4,207,588.18. The vendor has indicated the Section 3 total labor hours is 6,674.5 hours. For the developments in Manhattan, the contract amount is not to exceed $1,880,984.58. The vendor has indicated that the Section 3 total labor hours is 3,013 hours and a half. For the developments in Queens and Staten Island, the contract amount is not to exceed $4,192,949.82. The vendor has indicated the Section 3 total labor hours is 6,651 hours, 51 and a quarter hours.
No questions. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Items 9 through 13 will be presented by Jacqueline Sullivan, Vice President for Healthy Homes. Before she commences her presentation, she will move into the record the quarterly temporary suspension report on mold and ventilation-related contracts, change orders, and contract capacity increases. This report was previously provided to the board. Do you so move?
I do so.
Okay, let the record reflect that the aforementioned report is hereby incorporated into and made a part of the record. Items 9 through 13.
Good morning, board members. My name is Jacqueline Sullivan. I'm the Vice President for Healthy Homes, and I'm presenting on items 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 today. Items 9, 10, and 11 are requesting authorization to award 3 related citywide contracts for asbestos investigations and abatement project monitoring. Each contract has a not-to-exceed amount of $2 million. Item 9 is being awarded to ALC Environmental for a total projected labor hours of 650 with 165 Section 3 labor hours. Item 10 is being awarded to CAM Consultant Corps for a total projected labor hours of 20,720 with 5,180 Section 3 labor hours. Item 11 is being awarded to Genesis Environmental Consultants for a total projected labor hours of 4,500 with 1,125 Section 3 labor hours. Item 12 is requesting authorization to award a citywide contract to Tetra Tech for lead-based paint XRF testing services. This contract has a not to exceed amount of $3,125,000 and a total projected labor hours of 5,000 with 1,500 Section 3 labor hours. Item 13 is requesting authorization to approve a contract capacity increase to New York Environmental Services for asbestos abatement and replacement of floor tiles in move-out apartments. The increase to the not to exceed amount is $15 million, which is needed to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial 3-year term. This contract has a total projected labor hours of 162,240 with 40,576 Section 3 labor hours. Please let me know if you have any questions.
None. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jacqueline. 14 through 18, Tony.
Good morning. My name is Tony Maldonado. I'm the Vice President of Purchasing, Logistics, and Inventory, and I will be presenting numbers 14 through 18 on behalf of the Supply Management Procurement Department for your consideration. All items that are being referenced are for goods only, so the Section 3 hiring plan is not required. Item number 14 seeks authorization to award a requirement contract to Craftsman Supply Corporation, DBA Dayton Supply Company, known as Craftsman, for the selected 167 out of the 194 line items in the amount of $3,352,015 for the purchase and delivery of plumbing supplies. This is a 5-year requirement contract with no renewal options. A vendor name check dated November 15th, 2023 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issue to conclude award and that the vendor is deemed responsible for a contract award of tonight. Item number 15 seeks authorization to ratify the award of requirement contract to Craftsman Supply Corporation, DBA Dayton Supply Company, known as Craftsman, for the amount for the 63 out of 209 line items in the amount of $1,046,724 for the purchase and delivery of plumbing supplies. This is a 5-year requirement contract with no renewal options, and as mentioned, a vendor name check dated November 15th was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility. Item number 16 seeks authorization to ratify the award of a requirement contract to Big Apple Sign Corp., known as Big Apple, in the amount of $5,644,386 for the purchase and delivery of stainless steel sinks. This is a 3-year requirement contract with 2 1-year renewal options. Then the name check dated January 18th, 2024 was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issue to conclude award.
Just out of curiosity, what? I'm gonna assume that Big Apple Sign Corp is in the sign making business.
That's the name. They get a lot of contracts. They do a lot of different things. So that's just the name of their company, but they do sinks, they do cabinets as well, yeah.
Just curious.
No, sure. Valid.
And signs.
And signs, yeah.
They put their signs on the sinks. Proceed.
Thank you. Item number 17 seeks authorization to ratify an amendment to the agreement with Hilti Incorporated, known as Hilti, extending the term by an additional 12 months, and a contract capacity increase to the agreement with Hilti in the amount of $865,155.41 for the purchase and delivery of tools and materials. This is a 1-year, 5 months, and 12-day term extended by an additional 12-month term. This contract capacity increase is required to continue the provision of these essential tools and materials to the skilled trades and to avoid service level disruptions and to ensure the skilled trades have the necessary materials to make repairs and improve the quality of life of authorities, residents, and staff. Although a vendor name check was not required, a condensed vendor name check was performed for Hilti on January 23rd, 2024. This condensed check was vetted by the Procurement Ethics and Vendor Responsibility Unit, citing no issues.
Has you ever looked into renting these? Like, would it make any sense to rent these instead of buying?
Yeah, I mean, that we consistently get feedback from our operators.
Sorry. Yeah, but, okay.
Yeah, we consistently get feedback from our operational partners, right, on what makes sense. So sometimes renting is an option. We do a lot of vendor trade shows where we actually bring in vendors and bring in our operational partners to them to explore different opportunities. This specific one was a piggyback with Suffolk County. So this is gonna allow us to kind of have something in place while we explore other options for our partners. Item number 18 seeks authorization to ratify a change order and various subsequent contract capacity increases for requirement contract awarded to Craftsman Supply Corporation, DBA Dayton Supply Company, in the amount of $3,243,796.49 for the purchase and delivery of plumbing and heating supplies. This change order and various contract capacity increases is required as the authority's operations and heating management and services department constantly require access to supplies available under this contract with Craftsman. Currently, the authority and HMSD and operations have a substantial backlog and constant demand for the plumbing-related supplies. As a result, the authority's skilled trades are delayed in completing essential repairs within both residential and community spaces, impacting the service to the authority's residents and quality of life. The change order and subsequent CCIs are required to purchase the much-needed supplies for HMSD in a timely manner. The supplies that the Supply Management Procurement Department added are items that were not in agreement but have a high need, as well as items that current vendors such as HC Supply and WW. Granger could not provide in a reasonable amount of time and within a reasonable price range to this contract with Craftsman, a reputable plumbing and heating parts vendor. This request is a result of exigent needs throughout the authority. The fact that Craftsman was the winning bidder and the competitive bid under this request for quotes 145872 allowed the authority to establish a requirement contract with Craftsman for various plumbing and heating supplies, enabling the authority to supplement new and ongoing initiatives with operations and the heating management department. The VNC is not required.
Okay, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony. Item 19, Oliver, Vice President of Project Management, Capital Programs. Before he presents his item, he will move into the record Asset and Capital Management's quarterly update on ANCM's capital projects expenditure and temporary suspension report for elevator modernization, heating plant and waste management contracts, change orders and contract capacity increases. This report was again previously provided to the board. Do you so move?
I so move.
Okay, let the record reflect that the aforementioned report is hereby incorporated into and made a part of the record. Item 19.
Hello again. So while we're on the topic of roofs, I'd like to seek authorization to award one IDIQ for roof work at various developments in the not to exceed amount of $10 million to Icon Contracting Group with a bid factor of 1.395. The authority's estimated bid factor was 1.4 based on current market conditions and bid factors received by NYCHA and other agencies. The term of the contract is 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. The projected Section 3 labor hours are 9,100, which represents 25% of the overall.
Yep. Thank you, Oliver. Item 20, Jillian.
Great. Good morning. My name is Jillian Connell, and I'm the Managing Director of Strategic Operations in the Real Estate Development Department. And today I'm here presenting item number 20, which requests authorization to amend Board Resolution number 23-2/23-18, which authorized NYCHA to enter into a single source agreement with STV Incorporated for PACT Independent Mold Analyst Professional Services based on the PACT Via Settlement Agreement. The purpose of this amendment is to correct the contract number from 2007315 to 2219715. All other terms and conditions set forth in the board resolution, the prior board resolution, shall remain unchanged as it appears in the single source agreement. I'm happy to address any questions.
Okay, Jillian, recently this resolution was amended to also include removal of the RFQ that was on the original board resolution.
Okay.
Since it was a.
That's right, it was a single source agreement.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so that was also a second request to amend, okay?
Thanks.
Okay. Vice Chair?
It's more of a comment. I just want to thank you for yesterday's visit. And hope that all the plans turn out the way you guys planned it.
Yeah, thanks, it was a great visit.
You have, thanks.
Thank you, Julian. Arlene, item 21.
Good day, I'm Arlene Ornstein, Director for Risk Management. Item 21 requests the board's approval to award the authority's environmental liability insurance program policies to Evanston Insurance Company, Everest Indemnity Insurance Company, and Hamilton Insurance Designated Activity Company for a total 3-year premium of $1,559,017. The program will become effective on May 18th of this year and continue through May 17th of 2027. The recommended program maintains the total insurance limits of $50 million each incident and in the aggregate. This program, however, will be subject to self-insured retentions of $500,000 each incident, except in the case for certified class action lawsuits where the self-insured retentions will be aggregated to $5 million. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Arlene.
Saving the best for last.
Chair, 21 items were presented for board approval. Board, may I have a motion to approve the 21 items?
So moved.
That was, thank you. Seconded by?
Gavin.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Thank you so much. Chair, being that all matters before the board today have been addressed, board, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I will move that.
Thank you, Chair. Seconded by?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All in favor?
Aye.
All, none opposed? Thank you so much. The recorded end time, 11:07. Thank you all. The next NYCHA board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, May 29th, 2024 at 10 a.m. See you then.
Thank you.